right. Good morning. I'll give you the injury report. Because we're doing a walkthrough, everyone's going to participate in some capacity, and that's really where we're at with that. So with that, I'll take your questions.
How did Bernard come through the game with the ankle?
Yeah, he a little bit sore per Nate yesterday, a little bit sore, but should be fine for the game.
Did Steph have anything lingering from the game? Is he dealing with anything?
No.
Yeah, Daquan Jones' window is open.
Yep.
There was a theory out there you might want to get him in to get some rust knocked off before, the potential playoffs. And you decided to bring up Elam for that empty roster spot. So can you kind of discuss that decision?
Yeah, we'll see how Daquan does this week. Kaiir, it's good to have him back on the active. We'll see how he continues to progress, and we go from there. So nothing really more to add right now, Sal, on that. So.
What's the update on Micah and AJ and their chances of playing this weekend?
Yeah, both improving. I honestly believe it's going to be one day at a time, and we'll just have to see where that goes as we get closer to, really Nate and I are going to follow up today like we normally do anyway. But we've got a couple guys that we just need to make sure it's, we follow up on day to day here. So.
Sean, we talk a lot about that rookie wall that a lot of guys hit. In Dalton's case, I know the passing numbers, there has been less attempts the last couple of weeks, but he really hasn't been a factor at all in the passing game, production-wise. Do you think maybe, is he in that situation where it's, he's getting to the end of the year and it's a little tougher for him?
He's so tough. He's so mentally and physically tough. I think I know what you're talking about, but at the same time, he continues to push through because it is a long year. But when I talk to him about it, he's just like, come game time, he's ready to go. And so I don't think it's as much of a rookie wall thing as it is just sometimes the ball finds you and sometimes it doesn't. And there were a number of plays last week where he was the primary target and it got taken away. So Josh had to go through his progression there. So he's going to continue to be a big focus of our offense.
Stuff too, Sean, has been shorter passes. I think a lot of us thought he's so athletic he would be able to stretch the field a bit. Has that been a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a concern, but he hasn't really made those plays downfield we thought we would see?
Well, I think it's just how he fits right now into the overall offense, and then us continuing to get to know him and what he does best. And so, listen, I know a lot was talked about what he was going to do and this and that. He's a good player. The ball will find him. He's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it.
Sean, Knox has been back for 3 games now. How have you seen Dawson sort of ramp back up into a group?
Yeah, and I think that's balancing that to Sal's question. I think is a week-to-week situation there with who gets what reps and so on and so forth. So Dawson had a big catch, a couple catches, but one in particular that was big in that last drive to win it last week. So I enjoy watching those two work and continue to get better.
How important was it to get, for Joe and Josh and the offense to get the answers quicker on Saturday, given the fact that it kind of resembled maybe the Jacksonville game in some ways, just how things started slowly?
Well, yeah, I would give the entire team credit, including Joe and Josh and even beyond those guys. They did a great job, and I thought the team did a great job of being resilient and staying together and finding a way to win. When you're -3 in the turnover differential, that's a hard thing to overcome, and so that's one thing for sure that we got to get straightened out because that was not anywhere near what it needed to be.
As a follow-up, just last week we were all praising James Cook for the game he had against Dallas. This week, and you touched on this in the past, how Josh sometimes will have to carry this team. How beneficial is that to go from 1 week to have Josh essentially stand out of the way and let James cook, and then have
That was cute.
to have Josh do what he had to do at such a critical time Saturday?
Yeah, I'm a bit thrown off right now, but I'll try and rally here. No, it's just really the players that are needing to make the plays when their opportunity comes up, they're stepping up. And James, the prior week, as you mentioned, John, and then Josh this past week, in particular on that last drive, and Dawson, Steph, Khalil, and I mean, it's when the opportunities present themselves, you gotta make the plays, and those guys are doing it. That's a mindset too, and credit to those guys.
I know you take every opponent, every game seriously, respect every opponent. How does losing to an opponent earlier in the season maybe even sharpen that focus the second time around?
Well, I think you learn a lot going through any game, let alone in this case a loss like it was several weeks ago. And they're a good football team. As I've said before, records, the NFL is up for grabs every week. Records do not matter. And, you watch the game that we've watched, and they played a good football team in Denver and beat them. And so I think they're playing good football. They're well coached, as we all know, and we have a lot of respect for what they've done here.
There's no head coach that you've gone up against more than Bill Belichick. I think this is 15 times now. How has he kind of molded you from a distance and trying to, kind of reach the apex that he has?
Man, that's he's accomplished so much. That's, I think, most coaches, if not all coaches, are learning from Coach Belichick, and then also trying to get to where he's been, right, for years. And so, I mean, he's changed the game in a lot of ways. Just speaking big picture, league-wise, he's changed the game in a lot of ways, and I think the league has listened to some of his recommendations. He's an extremely smart person and does a great job in terms of taking his personnel on the field and making the most of what he has. And I think you're seeing that with the way his team has developed this year.
James in the locker room after said how much he appreciated the trust you showed in him to go back to him after the fumble. How do you walk that line of knowing when not to, the delicate balance of the conversations there, the confidence and everything that goes into that when something like that happens?
Well, I mean, like I mentioned, I think after the game it was a similar question about, why I didn't take the player or two out. And, I think when you go through things and you develop a relationship and you develop over the course, you develop a sample size, you build trust through that. And so one bad play at that point, when you have a larger sample than you do when the player is young, and just a smaller sample size, it's a little bit of a different situation, right? So that being said, though, it is a very serious, when you're putting the ball on the ground, that's a very serious situation. So he's very well aware of it, as is Deontay and Josh, and just the three that happened last week. So we know that we cannot, it's not a sustainable formula to do that and win games.
Knowing that the Dolphins are playing Baltimore at the same time, what's your philosophy on scoreboard watching when it comes to the team, whether it comes to flashing the score in the stadium, like out-of-town scores? What might that be? Do you have one?
I'm trying to win one game. That's really where we're at. I'm not really focused on watching the scoreboard. I'm just really into our process right now and trying to figure out a way to beat New England. And as I said, it was mentioned earlier by John, they beat us the first go-around. So
Because some teams actually have philosophy of not to flash the score on the scoreboard. Do you know of any rule here that you might have?
I'm not aware. Yeah, I'm not aware of the Bills' rule of what the. I know in 2017 I was getting updates.
Sean, since Steph is healthy, is there a different reason behind why he's had less snaps last couple weeks? Stephon?
Yeah. No, just the ebb and flow of the game, and sometimes that happens, especially late in the year.
What have you seen from Von Miller that warrants the playing time that he continues to get?
Well, I understand where you're coming from on that, Josh. It's just, with Von, he'll flash here, flash there, and, he's dealing with a lot, right? And I commend him from just what he's been working through and the knee, and, it's, playing time is earned, and he knows that. So he continues to work hard at getting himself just right to continue to improve.
Sean, you talked about players that have stepped up in games, whether it was James or Khalil or Steph in those big moments. How have you seen Josh over the last month, when the team was 6-6 and kind of in that spot, step up emotionally as a leader of this team? Because he's talked about how he's just trying to be himself, but he is trying to be more emotional, wear his heart on his sleeve more. He says he thinks he's doing that more. Have you noticed that as a leader?
I have, yeah. I mean, this is when you share experiences, you're able to watch other people grow. They're able to watch you grow. In this case, we're able to watch our team grow collectively as one, and I think this team has started to come into its own and form its own identity, and that's been fun to watch, quite honestly, and just guys really sharing their true personalities and their love for one another, and it's been fun to watch that develop over the last couple of weeks. Josh driving that in particular, and his urgency, his vulnerability, his leadership, as you said, and I think that's usually as Josh goes, we go.
When you see Khalil make a play like he did on that third down, where Josh mentioned it, kind of behind him a little bit, big play in a big spot, then makes that play down by the goal line later.
About the third quarter one. Yeah.
Guy that kind of made the most of his opportunities, even though they maybe haven't been there every single week. How do you diagnose that and then figure out whether or not you want to give him more opportunities in an offense that has a lot of people that deserve opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before about Khalil. He does a great job of being him in terms of he's trustworthy, he's consistent, he's selfless in his approach, a great team player. I think if you pulled the locker room, I think most guys would say he's one of their favorite guys in the locker room and on this team, just because of how he carries himself and how he lives his life day in and day out. And that's why you see him making those key plays, because when things break down, Josh knows where to find them, and he's right where he needs to be. And I mean, another great play that probably goes unmentioned from the game was I think Steph was supposed to be on a play, and Trent Sherfield comes in and runs a route that is usually Steph's route, and knew the assignment, knew the detail, and it was actually on the same play. And I mean, that's how you win games, right? I mean, it's not always the plays or maybe always the star players, but it's what happens in between the plays. It's how the plays are run. It's the daily approach, and I think when you have a group of guys that really focus on just the process and not caring who gets the recognition, and that's when good things happen. And you're seeing that by the way the guys are playing and finishing plays and then finishing the game.
How impressive is Christian Barmore?
I'm sorry?
How impressive is Christian Barmore?
Yeah, very, very impressive. Another defensive player that Coach Belichick has developed, and like I said earlier, I mean, he does a great job developing the personnel that he has and putting them in the positions of strength, and then they flourish because of that.
Do they move him around based on the opponent? Is that how they are unique in their scheme?
Somewhat. I mean, that's probably a better question for them, to be honest with you, but he does move around from time to time.
Just the play of Leonard Fournette, his first game for you guys on Saturday.
Give me that again.
Leonard Fournette, just how do you assess his first game for you guys on Saturday?
First game?
Assess Leonard Fournette.
Oh, Leonard Fournette, I got you. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Get this thing. Yeah, I thought he did a good job. He knows ball, and he knows not just his own position, but he knows football overall. And certainly he's played a long time. He's had a great amount of success, and I think he's been a very good addition to our team. And for me personally, it's been good to get to know him a little bit, and I think his impact on our team, I know is on the field with 1 week, but to me it's gone beyond that.
More on Christian Benford, how did he come through things, and where is he kind of starting things off here on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think he's in a good spot, and we'll see how he looks today.